Here's more wrestling news for September 30th, 2022. And we're kicking off this afternoon with a hurricane. And we're not talking about the wrestler, but rather Hurricane Ian, which has been wreaking havoc across Florida and the neighboring states. The storm has since been downgraded to a tropical storm, and hopefully we've seen the worst of it, but WWE is worried about the bad weather. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, WWE is very worried about tonight's Smackdown, as they believe some of the names scheduled to be on the show may not make it. While tonight's Smackdown is in Winnipeg, over 3,000 miles away from Florida, Hurricane Ian is still a problem as so many superstars reside in Florida. We won't know for certain who is or isn't on tonight's Smackdown until the show goes live, but with high-speed winds and rain battering Florida, not everyone is expected to make the flight up north. Drew McIntyre is one of the names expected to make it to Smackdown this week and has spent the past 3 years as the arguable top babyface of WWE. McIntyre has faced some of WWE's biggest heels since then, most recently Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle, and this week, the former world champion proved he's a good guy in and out of the ring. On Twitter, the WWE community account shared pictures of McIntyre with several of the patients from San Antonio's Children's Hospital who were clearly excited to see the WWE superstar. McIntyre's appearance at the hospital is one of several events involving the WWE roster highlighting September as Pediatric Awareness Month, with the New Day set to host a virtual meet-and-greet fundraiser today. These funds will go to research and the prevention of disease in children, and if nothing else, McIntyre made the day of these young fans. For many young fans, McIntyre is their favorite WWE superstar, but the Scottish Warrior may be ready to embrace his darker side. While Drew has been a good guy for years, he debuted in WWE as a heel and returned to the main roster in 2018, also as a heel. It now appears that Drew could be turning heel once more, as when speaking to NBC Sports Boston, the former WWE champion showed an interest in a turn. If I eventually turn bad again, I wouldn't just be the big angry man, the character of death, because if I can educate who I really am, and I'll be a lot more interested the next time around. Despite having a huge crowd advantage in Cardiff earlier this month, McIntyre came up short against Roman Reigns and is also expected to lose to Karrion Kross at Extreme Rules' strap match, and these back-to-back losses could be what pushed the current babyface over the edge. More hurricane news now. As well, the storm has left Florida. It caused major disruptions to this week's AEW Dynamite. Before the show, Tony Khan confirmed that any wrestlers who would struggle to make it did not have to make the trip to the tapings, and that's exactly what happened for some of the roster. According to Sean Ross Sapp, who reported on Fightful Select, Swerve Strickland was supposed to do something on the show, but opted not to travel to the taping in Philadelphia because of the poor weather. It wasn't stated exactly what the plan was for Strickland, but his tag team partner Keith Lee appeared on the show in a segment with The Acclaimed 1 week after losing the World Tag Team titles to Caster and Bowens. Reigning Ring of Honor television champion Samoa Joe was also set to appear on Dynamite, but he too opted to not travel from his home in Florida due to Hurricane Ian. Whatever Tony Khan had planned for Joe and Strickland, it wasn't meant to be on this week's AEW Dynamite, but it goes to show that safety should come before anything else in wrestling, both in and outside of the squared circle. Now, part of the appeal of MJF is that he never shies away from bringing up harsh topics, and that was proven once again during a recent interaction with William Regal. Confronting the Blackpool Combat Club on last week's Dynamite, MJF asked William Regal, or Willie as he called him, if he could teach him how to pop pills. This is, of course, in reference to Regal's troubled past with substances, but on the Gentleman Villain podcast, Regal explained why he couldn't care less. Do you think I care? I call myself out 1,000 times over about what I've done with my life. I've canned it when I was younger. I've proper gone out there and hammered life and got up to all kinds of stuff that you would never get. I had a blast, and I was out, and then I did some dreadful, awful things. But I'm through it, and it's really 22 years out of date. He needs to update his material. But I just play into it. It's a part of me now. William Regal, it's a part of me that I am this old rogue who has done this and that. Whatever it is, it plays into this character that I just turned into. Nowadays, you can't really do that. There's much less room for error. MJF has got something going. He's figured out whatever it is. He's got something going. While Regal was once a fully blown addict, those days are over, and have been for decades, but that won't stop MJF taking shots at the British legend. In April, Chris Jericho hit Eddie Kingston with a move fans had never seen before from him, but it wasn't a wrestling hold. During an episode of Dynamite, the former world champion hit the Mad King with a fireball, a shocking moment, but one that took a lot of work behind the scenes. That episode of Dynamite was in Las Vegas, and during the AEW Unrestricted podcast this week, Jericho said he had to get the proper documentation for the segment. "We went to Vegas, there was a problem. I had to get my magician's license. You need that to throw a fireball in the vicinity in Vegas." Jericho needed the proper paperwork to prove that he could safely do the stunt, and while he did get it, there was another issue. "The problem was the paperwork didn't come in time, so we had to go outside the boundaries of Vegas to throw the fireball at the stagehand. After moving the segment to a parking lot outside Vegas, the fireball went off without a hitch, but if you need someone to shoot a ball of flames in Vegas and have the proper permits to do so, then Chris Jericho is the man to call." Back to WWE, as this year's Extreme Rules Premium Live event will take place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, typically a hot wrestling crowd who aren't afraid to make their opinions heard. Philly is where the original ECW used to air, so we know the fans can be a loud bunch, but that won't faze Ronda Rousey. Rousey is no stranger to mixed crowd reactions, and during a recent YouTube gaming stream, said that she won't let the crowd get to her. The former Smackdown Women's Champion said how sometimes crowds are really stoked to see her, and sometimes she's considered the Antichrist of pro wrestling. According to records, Rousey's one and only match in Philly saw her face Nia Jax in 2018 at an untelevised live event, so there's no way to know what reaction she got. With Rousey going up against the popular Liv Morgan, it could be that the ex-UFC fighter is on the receiving end of some boos, but that won't faze the baddest woman on the planet. More from the White Rabbit now, as fans have been trying to figure out the mystery, but they may not be waiting for much longer. The White Rabbit teases began earlier this month during a Smackdown commercial break, but we may know who or what WWE are building to as soon as next week. According to Fightful Select, WWE has, at least at one point, had plans to reveal the White Rabbit at Extreme Rules on October 8th, though it is unclear if the person who this is building towards will physically be at the show or not. The most popular theory is that Bray Wyatt is the White Rabbit, and his return would come over a year since his WWE release. Whatever the White Rabbit is, it has had fans hooked, and we could finally get our answer at WWE's upcoming Premium Live event. And we're ending as we started today with hurricane news. As while the storm has departed Florida, many have had their homes and lives devastated over the past few days. Florida is home to many wrestlers, including Titus O'Neil, who has once again gone the extra mile to help out. Wrestling Inc. reports that O'Neil and World Central Kitchen are teaming up with various brands around Tampa to distribute meals to those most in need in the area. People in need can go to the Metropolitan Ministries Pasco in Holiday, Florida, with the goal being to serve 15,000 hot meals and 10,000 cold meals to those who have been affected by Hurricane Ian. The hurricane has left over 2.3 million people without power, according to the Washington Post, with many being unable to get food or warmth due to the storm. Titus O'Neil is known for his big muscles and big heart, and has helped out in various philanthropic endeavors in the past, and WWE's global ambassador is once again helping out those who need aid. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.